Have you ever thought about what your family is going to do when you're no longer here? Like the financial burden or the financial peace that they'll have as a result of the things that you have thought to do and put in place before you're no longer here. Yes, we're talking about death because that's one of the most certain things in this life. We don't know when we're going to go, but we all know that we're going. Years ago, I remember hearing this phrase and it just stuck with me, and it's kind of been something that I've lived by as a result, that when you plan for your death, then you can really start living. I've heard that some people don't like to talk about these things, don't like to discuss, because they feel like it's like a bad omen, or that it's gonna bring like death closer. Like, I don't want to think about it because then like it might happen. But I've always remembered that saying instead, is that when I have planned my death, then I can really start living. The Bible actually says in Proverbs 13:22 that a good man, we're going to substitute man with woman, a good woman leaves an inheritance to her children's children. So not just to the children, but to the children's children, to your grandchildren. Proverbs 19:14 says, house and wealth are an inheritance from fathers. They can also be mothers. The thing that we're going to talk about today is how to move our money. So it's one thing to make the money, but then once we have the money, what are we going to do with it? How are we going to transfer it to our loved ones? I actually just saw a video where a guy's father unexpectedly passed. He was headed to college, and his dad had a life insurance policy of, I think, $25,000. The funeral cost $10,000 or $15,000, so he was saying after they paid for the funeral and they split it up, he only got $5,000. There are a lot of different ways that you can move money, but the three that we're going to talk about are life insurance, wills, and trusts. I am not a financial advisor. This is me giving you information to know that these things are available to you, and now you can go and set these things up for yourself. The first thing that I'll talk about is life insurance. Obviously, we just got done talking about a story where a guy did have life insurance, so that was good. He didn't die leaving the kids nothing. Like, at least they were able to take care of the funeral with the money that they had. But then someone who was on their way to college without their father, they're grieving, and they only have $5,000. These are the things that we need to really start thinking about. Just one rule of thumb that I have heard and lived by is that your life insurance policy should be 10 times your annual salary. So if you're making $25,000 a year, then you want a policy for at least $250,000. If your annual salary is $50,000, you want your life insurance to be at least $1,000. Comment below. Let me know if that makes sense. The other thing that I'll say is I have a 20-year term. I do not have a whole life insurance policy. I know that there are some things that you can do with whole life insurance policies that you can't do with term life insurance policies. And this is not the video where we're going to get into them. This is not the video where we're going to say one is better than the other. This is me saying, honestly, I don't care which one you have as long as you have something that is going to your family. Okay, so that's number one. The second one is a will. And so your will is just the instructions on what you want done after you are no longer here. So you can include things like the amount of money that people get, who gets the amount of money. Some people include how they want their funerals to go, whether or not they want a funeral, they want to get cremated, who they want their house and property to go to, things like that. What's more important and what is going to save you and your loved ones more time and money is to have a trust. Now, the beginning of Financially Lit Black Girl started as a result of seeing yet another celebrity. Chadwick Boseman passed away after having a bout with cancer, and he did not have a will or a trust. I just recently heard that Michael Jackson's children funds were frozen because a certain amount of his money was being seized by the IRS because it was not in a trust. So wills are great, but even if you have a will, if you have property, if you have money and you have assets that even in the will are said they need to go to this person and that person, it is still going to go to probate court. Probate court is literally the court system that takes what you have and gives it to the people that you say it needs to go to. The other thing that happens is if it goes into probate court, even though they have a will, outside family members can still come in and say that they feel they are owed whatever they feel like they want from you. So the third thing that we're going to talk about is a trust. The way I want you to think about a trust is like a bank account. Just like you have a bank account, you have to fund that bank account. So you have to put money in that bank account. Well, your trust has to be funded as well. And so that's why I said in the Michael Jackson scenario, part of his finances were not funded, were not put into that trust. So you could literally today go open a trust and your stuff still have to go through probate court because you never funded the trust with those things. What it looks like to fund things into a trust is like if you have that life insurance policy, instead of your beneficiaries, you listing out the people's names, you're going to list out your trust. Instead of your assets, your car, your house, different things like that, you're going to get them in the trust's name so the trust can own them, the trust can fund them. And then in addition to that will, or within the will, you're going to write out, designate a trustee, someone that you trust, to make sure that the money, the assets, the things are given to who you have said they need to go to. The trust is the only thing that is going to prevent and save your family members time and money from having to go to probate court. You have the life insurance, you have the will, you have the trust, that immediately upon your passing, these things can start to move over. They do not have to go to probate court. They do not have to pay for probate court, because I don't know if I said it, but probate court costs. This is why I'm saying it's going to save you time and money. It takes time to go through the dispersion of the assets, but then it costs money to go to court. We have talked about manifesting money, making money. We've talked about managing your money, multiplying your money, and now we are talking about moving your money so that it's not burdensome to your loved ones as they're grieving you, but you are actually a part of them living a financially lit life.